Hello, welcome to Mount Holyoke. My name is Meggie. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a current senior at Mount Holyoke, majoring in music and minoring in English with focus on creative writing. I also spend a lot of time at the admissions office working here, and I work as a TA for the music technology classes. So if you have any questions about those departments or working on campus, I can try my best to answer. I'd love to go around the group and just introduce everybody before we start. Here we are at our first stop. This is Whitehall. We call it our center of centers because we have 4 different centers located in this building. We'll go inside and we'll check them out.
Oh yeah, me too.
Okay, here we are in Whitehall. Like I said, we have 4 different centers located here. To your left, we have the McCulloch Center for Global Initiatives. They help students who are either international students or who want to study abroad kind of get settled at Mount Holyoke or settled at their abroad institution. I studied abroad last semester in Northern Ireland, in Belfast, which was a really great opportunity, and the McCulloch Center was super supportive through that whole process. Upstairs, we have the Weizmann Center for Leadership. They help students get involved in various leadership opportunities, and they also host a lot of events with local leaders. So we actually had Bernie Sanders Zoom us a couple of years ago. My roommate and I projected the Zoom onto our wall. It was very fun. Upstairs we also have the Miller Worley Center for the Environment. So for our friend interested in environmental studies, that's a great spot where you could definitely get to know the people in that office and maybe work with them a little bit. We are working on being carbon neutral by 2037, which will be our 200th birthday as a college. Downstairs we also have the archives, which are a really great place. Mount Holyoke has been around for nearly 200 years, so we have a lot of great history to look at. So we're sort of gradually transitioning into the library. These 2 buildings are connected, but we're like in an in-between space here. To your right, we have the SAW Center, which stands for Speaking, Arguing, and Writing. And this is where students can get help on things like essays or presentations or debate prep. I'm an English minor, but even with a lot of writing experience, every time I bring an essay here, I get so much incredible help, and it just like saves me from whatever rut I'm in. So love the SAW Center. Over here we have our media teaching workspace. So this is where students can go to learn how to use programs like Photoshop or WordPress and a bunch of other things. So this is also staffed by students and just a very resourceful. If you look through the windows to your right, you can see the Village Commons across the street. That's basically where the admissions office is. That's where we started. And that's basically like downtown South Hadley for our small town. So that's where we have a coffee shop and the college bookstore and this teeny tiny adorable film theater and a bunch of restaurants. So that's a good place to hang out if you want to go off campus but don't want to take the bus anywhere. Puzzle room. You'll see there's a bunch of puzzles on the table, and the room is shaped kind of like a snow globe, so it's a really cute place to sit, especially in the winter when it's snowy. And then over behind me here we have our technology help desk. So this is where you can go and ask tech questions about Wi-Fi, printing, or if something is broken. Also staffed by students and a couple of full-time staff members. Here we have our Alumni Hall of Fame. I'll take a slow stroll down here so you can read about some of the really cool people who've been here. I always love to point out, since I'm an artsy person, Chloe Zhao, who is the first woman of color to win Best Director at the Oscars for her movie Nomadland. And then another film person, Deborah Martin Chase, who produced Cheetah Girls, Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, Princess Diaries, and a bunch of other stuff. So very proud of her. Another artsy person, our favorite Mount Holyoke dropout, Emily Dickinson. And then of course we have people in all sorts of other areas. We have Virginia Apgar, who's not on the wall because these are all more recent alums, but Virginia Apgar went here. So I was like,
She's the one who created the APGAR scores for
Yes.
newborn babies. Yeah, yeah, that's cool.
so yeah, that hall is just really cool because there are people in so many different areas doing really cool stuff. Okay, we're about to enter the most beautiful indoor space on campus. This is the reading room. So the reading room was actually modeled after Westminster Hall, which is pretty cool. It's gorgeous. It's one of my favorite places to study on campus. And we have these beautiful stained glass windows with little emblems from our related schools. We have the Five College Consortium, we have some of our sisters, and we have what we call our daughter schools, who are schools that were founded by Mount Holyoke alums. All right, we're gonna head out into our library atrium, which is another beautiful spot. And before we go downstairs, you're gonna participate in your first Mount Holyoke tradition. You'll notice that we have 4 banners on our walls here. We've got one there, and then 2 next to us here. Each banner represents a different class here. So each class has a color and a mascot. My class is the Blue Lions right over here. And every 4 years it rotates. So I know a lot of alums who are also Blue Lions, even though they graduated many years before me. We have our tradition here where you have to walk up and down the set of stairs that corresponds with your class banner, or else you might not graduate on time. Very spooky, although I do have a friend who accidentally walked up halfway up one of the wrong sets of stairs once and is now doing an extra semester. Could be the tradition, could be COVID, I'll leave that up to you. But we're gonna go down the stairs, and I recommend you follow whatever your college graduation year would be or was. So, oh, that's gonna be a lot of math. How about parents? Follow your student. I'm a Blue Lion, so I'm going down this side.
Wait, is that literally a joke that you tell
No, we
every
do that
time?
on.
Parents
Well, I don't make a
follow your
math joke.
students?
Parents follow your students, though. You've already graduated.
We wouldn't be able to go down the same stairs.
Although, as an alum, I will never walk up the other set of stairs.
Yeah.
You never know.
Grammy's gonna want to know about the sculpture.
Oh, yeah, of course. I always find that stuff. So here we are with this beautiful sculpture. Does anybody know who it's by? Do you know? Oh, okay, it's by Dale Chihuly. Sometimes families from California recognize the style. And it's so gorgeous. There are all these lights lighting it up. And so at night when the skylights aren't putting so much sunlight through, it kind of glows golden. It's gorgeous. Over to your left, we have the circulation desk. That's obviously where you would check out books, like if you're doing research for class or just for fun. You can also check out textbooks, which is really nice. I've had several classes where I didn't even buy the textbook because I could just get it here, and often textbooks are very expensive. So that's a good way to save money on campus, and professors are very thoughtful about looking for ways to save you money. You can also rent out things like a fancy camera. I did that recently. My friend and I took some cool pictures together. Over to your right, we have the Francis Perk Cafe. It's named after Frances Perkins, who is one of our favorite alums, if I may say so. She was the first woman to serve in a presidential cabinet. She was with FDR, and she is basically the reason we have Social Security. So, pretty awesome. That's our cafe named for her. Good place to stop while you're at the library. Any questions?
Do people actually read books, or do they just read everything online?
Both. Here we are at the main entrance to the library. Take a look around and see how gorgeous it is from outside, just like inside. We have this thing literally on postcards. And we'll head over to our first academic building on campus. We are a liberal arts college, so we encourage our students to explore beyond their major or minor, which means we do have some distribution requirements. So everybody takes, first of all, a first year seminar, which we'll talk about in a minute, and some PE classes, which I'll also come back to. But then our core distribution requirements are 1 semester of each of the following: a foreign language, some sort of multicultural perspectives, which could be anthropology, sociology, something like that. A math or physical science, a social science, and humanities. So most people actually get through those requirements pretty quickly because we're interested in a lot of different things in those cases. And I have a few friends who found their major by thinking they were taking a distribution requirement just to get it over with and then loving it. I also mentioned our PE classes. They're actually really fun. I kind of wish I could take more PE classes even now that I'm done. But they're super accessible too. So there's stuff like canoeing and hiking, self-defense, swimming, running, badminton, a whole bunch of options to choose from. So you'll find something that you like. And I also mentioned our first year seminars. So that's basically your introduction to college level thinking, reading, writing, discussion, all of that important stuff. Mine was called Coming of Age on Screen, and it was basically film studies meets feminism, taught by a film studies professor. It was really, really fun. Take a look at the floor. I don't know how well the camera's gonna pick this up, but we're standing on a weirdly arranged periodic table. This building behind us is Holyoke. It's our primary science building, and it has a lot of really fun architectural details that I'll point out more inside. Take another look at the ground. Does anybody know what this is that we're standing on now?
A neuron?
Yes!
Oh, nicely done.
So a lot of the
Wait, do you
neural
remember that
processes-
from the last time we were on this
And
tour?
That's an axion.
What?
I'm not just handsome.
Yeah, so we have something like this on every floor. Upstairs, one of the floor has karyotypes, and one of them has a solar system. Downstairs, we have rugs shaped like amoebas. Our stairs are shaped like a DNA double helix. It goes on and on. This is our biochem area. All of the posters that you see on the wall are from student-led research. So we do a ton of research at Mount Holyoke, and since we're such a small institution, students get a lot of opportunities to work with professors on professors' research and also to be supported by professors on their own research. So you really do get a hands-on experience here, whether that's in science or in philosophy or history, whatever you want to work on, you'll get lots of experience. Another reason that research is so accessible to students at Mount Holyoke is because of something we call link funding. So basically, every student has the opportunity to spend one of their summers working on a unpaid or underpaid internship, research project, or independent creative project. I actually just did mine this summer. I'm a music major and I'm a singer-songwriter, so I was recording one of my songs and producing it, and I got paid by the college to do that this summer, which was really cool. In the fall, after you use your link funding, you'll do a big presentation for faculty and other students, which is really fun. That actually just happened yesterday. So people were running around all day trying to catch all their friends. It's a really big event, actually. People are very excited to support each other for that. And what's cool about it too is that it is entirely funded by alums. So our alums are really, really looking out for us, and they're basically paying students every single summer to do unpaid work, which gives us a huge advantage then in the job market after college. We also have some asteroids just hanging out in this building, which I think is pretty awesome. We will head back outside, going down the DNA stairs. So thinking more about the classroom environment, our student-to-faculty ratio is about 10 to 1, which is very low, and most of your classes will be very small. The biggest classes get up to about 120 students. That's basically intro to psych and bio, occasionally a couple of others because those are just really popular majors. But I actually took intro to psych, and it was huge. It was also on Zoom because it was back earlier in the pandemic. And I still felt very connected to the professor. We had a couple of one-on-one office hours. We gave each other music recommendations. It was awesome. She's so nice. And in those cases, you'll also have usually TAs and smaller groups to work in, so you'll be very supported. My smallest class was like 7 students, and it was a music class, and we all put on a concert together at the end. So you get a very personal education then. Do you like my Mount Holyoke umbrella? It's from the admissions office. Getting it back. Okay, here we are at a beautiful outlook. In front of us is the Botanic Gardens, and that little white building there that you can just barely see behind the trees is the greenhouse. The greenhouse is a great resource on campus. A lot of classes will visit it. I've heard of bio classes going to learn about plants, but I've also heard of like art classes going to draw the plants. So really cool resource that will be used in a very multidisciplinary way.
And
there are also jobs at the greenhouse that are in very high demand because apparently it's really fun.
And I have a friend from when I was very, very young who now lives in Amherst, Jock McDonald, and he comes to the greenhouse as a place to just hang out in the winter.
We have a flower show every spring that is just like very high production quality, gorgeous flowers, and people will come from far off campus to see it every year. So very cool. Over in that direction we have our psychology and education building. So all of those classes and labs happen in there. And then across the street we have several very important buildings. Closest to us is the Career Development Center. The same building also has the Health Center. And then across the street from them we have the Public Safety Building. And then down, yay, past the trees, you can't really see it. Up the hill we have our Equestrian Center. We have a really, really strong riding program here. And then we also have Kendall, which is our sports and dance complex. That's where we have the gym and all of your PE classes and of course sports. We're a Division III school. So students are always students first and athletes second, which is very important for a lot of people some of whom didn't think they could do sports in college, and here they can. To your left we have the art building. This building has art classes, but also media studies, film studies, a whole bunch of stuff in here. So really good space for if you're interested in art. And on the other side of the building is the art gallery, which has some really, really cool art in it. They just renovated it this summer, so some of it's updated, which is very exciting. And that's another place kind of like the greenhouse, where you'll likely visit it with a class at some point. I had a creative writing class visit the art gallery. I've had 2 creative writing classes visit the art gallery now. The first one, that visit inspired what ended up becoming my final portfolio for that class. But yeah, plenty of classes will also visit there. And then over here to your left, we have the Elliott House. This is our Center for Spiritual and Religious Life on campus. We have, I believe, 9 active faith groups, most of which meet here. So there's just a lot of space built in for various groups. We also have 2 kitchens in here, one of which is kosher and one of which is halal. So if you want to cook on campus and you need those spaces, they're here for you. And we also have a Japanese tea house, which is fun. Also, I'll point out that little poster over there. Martin Luther King came here and gave us a speech, which is really, really cool. Okay, we're about to approach my favorite spot on campus. This is the amphitheater. So if you ever have trouble visualizing what 2,200 students looks like, this is it. We all fit here. We all sit here together for convocation at the beginning of the year. We wear our class colors, so if you remember from the library, everybody has their own class color. Mine is blue. I am always decked out head to toe in blue. Usually sequins are involved. My friend Olivia has a blue wig and sometimes even blue eyelashes, which is very exciting. So it's a very exciting event. It's not like a super formal convocation that you might expect. We have those formal speeches and they're lovely, but we also have a lot of like cheering and chanting and just general festivities. This is also a space where we have a cappella concerts and other sorts of events like that. And my favorite tradition, which is when the freshmen gather at the end of orientation at night to watch Dirty Dancing projected up on the stage. Does anybody have any idea why we would watch Dirty Dancing at Mount Holyoke?
Because baby's going, and what's the line?
Baby's going to Mount Holyoke in the fall. Woo! Yeah, so we have a shout out in the movie. When that line comes up, everybody's anticipating it. We have our cameras out and everybody screams so loud, all of South Hadley must hear us. And half of the freshmen don't even know what just happened. They can't hear it. To your right, up that little hill, we have the grave of our founder, Mary Lyon. She just hangs out on campus. And we have a few traditions around that grave. One of them is the Laurel Parade, which is when seniors at the end of the year, right before they graduate, dress up in white, carry a laurel chain like parading around campus, and we end that parade around the gate outside Mary Lyon's grave, and we leave the laurel chain with her. It's really sweet. We sing songs and just get in our feels, basically. Another tradition that happens outside the grave is Founders Day, when she's our founder. In the fall, there's a day when we eat ice cream right outside of her grave and just celebrate Mary Lyon. Some of my favorite traditions also include elfing, which is when the sophomores sneak around to the freshman dorm doors, and we decorate their doors and we leave them candy, hopefully secretly. When I did it sophomore year, we got caught several times. One time we were like putting something on the door actively and somebody opened the door from inside and we were like, oh, hi! And they just closed the door. I'm not sure if they knew what was happening or not, but hopefully it was a good surprise later. We also have Mountain Day, which is a surprise day in the fall. No one knows when it's going to happen except the president. And you know it's Mountain Day because the clock tower rings approximately 100 times at approximately 6:30 a.m.
Oh, so the neighbors must love that.
If you're in the dorm next to it, you're not falling back asleep. And that's how you know it's Mountain Day. You also get an email, which is handy. On Mountain Day, classes are canceled as a surprise, and everybody's invited to go climb up our local mountain, Mount Holyoke. We have shuttles going to and from the mountain all day, and we also have shuttles going up it for anyone who isn't able to walk up it. At the top, we have ice cream, we have temporary tattoos. A lot of people take selfies with the president, who is always there, often with a dog. So yeah, it's a really good day. Okay, here we are about to enter Blanchard Hall. This is our student center on campus. We call it Blanch for short. This building was originally built as the campus gym. So inside you'll see some architectural gym-like things. But before we go in, this is our main green out here, Skinner Green. During the summer it was all torn up for the geothermal heating and cooling project. But now it's beautiful as always. And we have several traditions on this green too, but when it hits in the spring about 55 degrees, you will see people all over the green, hanging out, swinging in hammocks, doing homework, playing music. It's really fun. And very New England of us to be like, oh my god, it's 55, let's go outside! Here we are inside Blanch. Like I said, this was originally our gym. So you can see that the floor above us used to be a track. And supposedly the ropes hanging from the ceiling used to be climbing ropes. I really hope they're like replicas of the climbing ropes from 1837 or so, but there we go. This is where a lot of students will spend time hanging out. We also have the student-like office over here, and we have our Be Well initiative, and that's our initiative for student health on campus. The Be Well initiative will involve physical things like how we have a PE requirement, but also things like fun activities during exams week so that people can de-stress. Sometimes they'll just put out a really long coloring sheet, like several feet long, and a bunch of crayons, and people will just stop by and color and then go about their day. It's really sweet. Upstairs we have offices for a few of our most popular clubs on campus. We have, I believe it's over 140 clubs now. But upstairs, that beautifully decorated door is for the Mount Holyoke Outing Club. It's our most popular club on campus. They go hiking, rock climbing, canoeing, a whole bunch of adventures.
Is this also where the radio station is?
Yeah, the radio station is upstairs, as is the newspaper. I have a radio show currently Thursdays at 1 p.m. You can tune in at wmhc.mixler.com, I believe. This is the WMHC radio station where I have my show every Thursday. We can peek inside and you can see what a good vibe it is.
You have a short one to build?
Anyways, here we are at our dining hall. This is our only only dining hall on campus. We used to have one in pretty much every residence hall, but that created a lot of unnecessary food waste, and it was just generally not efficient. So a few years ago, we combined it into just one place. So over 20% of our food is locally sourced, which is really cool. Here's a list of some of the places we get our food from. And we have so many options in here, especially important for people who have food restrictions. So we have a whole gluten-free section, a kosher section, a halal section, and plenty of vegan and vegetarian options at every one of those places. You can come in here 3 or 4 times a day, and we are open pretty much from 7 a.m. till 10 p.m. on the week and till midnight on the weekends. Awesome. No. Well, actually, we might be able to. I always like to point out that Pratt, our music building, is over in that direction. I'm a music major, so I spend a lot of time there. And it's a very accessible department to people who either are music majors or are not. You can take lessons and do ensembles and classes and informal clubs like a cappella concerts or a cappella groups. We also have across the street, you can't really see it from here, but Rook, our theater building, same deal there. You can audition for plays whether or not you're officially involved in the department. It's awesome. This is my residence hall this year and last year. It's called Wilder. It's right in the center of everything. I love it because it is very close. It's right in between the dining hall and the music building. So that's all I need, personally. One thing we haven't talked about much yet, actually, is the fact that Mount Holyoke is a gender-diverse women's college, which is a huge part of why I love this place so much. I personally felt like pretty empowered by the time I got here already, and I wasn't sure how important it was going to be for me to be at a gender-diverse women's college. But even in my first year, I kept having this experience where I would be confused as to why my professors and classmates were taking me so seriously. And it was like kind of a funny feeling at first. I was like, why do they have such high expectations for me? And then it turns out that was just a lot of internalized sexism, me expecting people to have lower expectations for me and to take me less seriously. But professors and students here are so committed to gender equality that your brain gets totally rewired. Basically, being in this kind of environment helps you just deprogram all of the internalized sexism you didn't even know was in your brain, and you replace it with this really healthy, accurate confidence boost. And that really does translate into then the workplace after Mount Holyoke too. One of my favorite statistics about gender-diverse women's colleges and women's colleges in general is that 20% of the women in Congress, in the US Congress, went to a women's college of some sort, which is huge because only 2% of women in the US who went to a 4-year institution went to a women's college. So it just goes to show that being at this kind of institution gives you the connections and the confidence to know that you can go take jobs like that and do really well on them.
Well, I was wondering if you wanted to say something about the 5 College Consortium and how you've used it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so the 5 College Consortium is awesome. Like I said, we get to pick classes at 4 other colleges should we choose to. It's been really helpful for me because I'm an English minor and I wanted to focus on creative writing, which is not the focus of most liberal arts colleges. So I have been able to do that by taking classes both here and at other colleges. So I'm in a poetry class at Smith right now with a professor who is a working poet who I already kind of admired before I got into the class, so that's really exciting. And I also take voice lessons at Smith with a teacher who I had met back in 2019. He's just an amazing folk singer and really kind of gets the angle that I'm looking at the voice with. So I love those voice lessons, and it's really easy. I just take the bus over every week. It's about half hour to Smith, and it's closer to Hampshire and Amherst. UMass is the other direction. Yeah. Behind me we have the gates. Very big spot on campus. And it's very important that nobody walks through the middle gate. If you do, you won't graduate on time because you're supposed to wait until you're a senior and you're graduating. We can go through the side gate though. Last week we had a big event tradition where the seniors gather all of the first years as a surprise and we walk together to the president's house. It's called disorientation. And when we got to the gates, we had seniors literally like stacked on that side of the gates, ushering freshmen through the side gates so nobody would mess up. Very sweet. Over here we have the clock tower. It's gorgeous, it's very tall. It rings every 15 minutes, but it's often like up to 7 minutes late, so don't rely on it for classes. And it's the same clock tower that rings 100 times on Mountain Day. Our next stop and our last stop is going to be a residence hall. It's called Pearson's Hall, and it's where I lived my freshman year. We have 18 different residence halls on campus, a whole lot of variety within them. They're all good, and they all have all 4 years worth of students. So we have what we call living learning communities, or LLCs, and those are communities you can choose to live in, opt in or out, based on things like identity or interest. So, for example, there's an arts LLC, where if you are interested in the arts, you can live there. Above my floor this year is the Interfaith LLC, so people who are just interested in being around other people with like religious and spiritual interests can all live together. Do you have a question?
Actually, with the clock tower, I was wondering what's the oldest building on campus?
Good question. That is literally, I've only gotten that question from dads.
Huh.
It's like, that's so funny. And I don't know the answer.
Okay.
I might know the answer. It might be that tiny white building.
Okay.
I know that one is very old. I think that was built in 1837.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the only one that was built in 1837, and it could have been like 38. I'm not positive. Welcome to Pearson's Hall, our first room, our dorm. Here we have our beautiful common room. Four common rooms in Pearson. Sorry. We have in every common room, we have a grandfather clock, a piano, and a fireplace. Those were all requested by Mary Lyon, our founder. And we also now have a TV in every common room, which is, Mary Lyon didn't ask for that one. This is the end of our tour. Thank you so much for joining me. I love Mount Holyoke. I feel so supported and also challenged here. So if you have any more questions after the tour, feel free to ask me. Yeah, thanks for coming. There you go.